Hey guys, welcome back to Metroid Prime. We crash landed on Talon 4, and first thing first, I'm gonna scan my ship.
Oh,
You know,
that's my ship. I thought that was a flying saucer.
it may have crash landed, but at least it's sitting neatly above the ground, so I'll give them that.
Yeah, crash
And
landing, quote unquote.
Yeah. It's like very fast emergency.
now, I know what y'all are probably saying. Hey man, ain't you gonna get the space jump boots first? Yeah, you can do it. No, you can only do it in the GameCube version, and specifically the NTSC version of that game.
Yeah, because here's the thing: the trilogy version of Metroid Prime is based off of the PAL GameCube version. They knew
Yeah.
about that glitch in PAL GameCube because by the time that came out, they patched it out. And since then, usually a re-release is based on the latest release of a game, and the
Yep.
PAL release of Metroid Prime was, I believe, like a 1.2 version, so it was the last release before Wii, obviously.
Yeah, no.
So
When we
And
had
a
the
lot of bug
conversation
fixes.
when we had the conversation about the opening monologue, I actually looked up the version differences thing, and exactly like you said, because the trilogy version is based on the PAL release, that kind of confirms as well the voice clips were not brought across to any version of trilogy.
Yeah, because there are
Yeah.
even some things from like the Japanese version that they are missing out on now because it's not there in this version.
It's not a Kirby's Epic Yarn kind of dealy with pants and trousers, which they bothered to do again for the 3DS version. Which I mean, power to them. Like extra Epic Yarn may retain the trousers pants difference.
I mean, I don't hope
See.
so because that'd be a weird change.
Yeah, like, but that's the interesting thing to wrap up that side tangent. Of all the weird PAL and NTSC differences, the one thing that still bothers me is that Canvas Curse and Squeak Squad are called Mouse Attack and Power Paintbrush in Europe, but not Australia, because we have Canadian PAL, so we retain the Americanizations. But Rainbow Curse has changed to Rainbow Paintbrush in Australia.
That's weird. That's
It
like
is very weird.
you get a best of both worlds in that case.
Yeah.
And the entire Wii U eShop, those two other the two other games that have the differences, we get given European PAL for those instead. And I'm like, I want to have a physical copy of Squeak Squad to replace my old cartridge, but the digital version on the eShop is technically wrong for the country I live in.
It's weird because at that point you pretty much have to import one of those versions on the eShop, so you have to make a whole different region's account.
Anyways, the little thing that was above the door from which I entered from, that's a Chozo lore. Um, that's a different type of lore from the Space Pirate lore. They're always going to be on those walls that have like the floating like effect on the wall when you first see them, and you don't scan them. They're going to have like a floating like texture on it, like
Yeah.
a wave texture.
It's nice when you scan it, that effect goes away, so you have a visual cue if you scan something or not.
Yeah.
It's like one of the only log entries that really do something like that.
Yeah. But what I was talking about with the space jump in the NTSC GameCube version of the game, if you lock onto a certain thing above the door that leads to Chozo Ruins, um, you can do a side hop and you'll end up on the area where you can get the space jump boots real early, and you
Yeah.
can just get the double jump up earlier.
Yeah, it was a weird, like, movement glitch that spawned with how the lock-on system worked originally, because originally there was no speed cap for when you did a dash, so you would just do lock-on dashing all over the place, so that allowed you to skip a bunch of stuff and get the areas you weren't supposed to early.
Yeah.
And obviously they fixed that with later printings of Metroid Prime.
But here we're in Chozo Ruins. Yeah, this is the Chozo lore right there, right in front of the not the hive, not the hive, but you know what I mean.
Another logbook entry, so close enough.
E.
But yeah, Chozo Ruins is kind of a cool first area in this game. I just remember a lot of good memories of this when I first played this because I first experienced this game strangely enough, over at my neighbor's, one of my neighbor's relatives' house because she
Hmm.
had a GameCube, had a bunch of GameCube games. That's how I experienced this game, Sunshine, and Sonic Adventure for the first time.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I had a lot of fond memories of Chozo Ruins. I love this place.
That's
It's-
totally fair. I will admit, like, my knowledge out of the three of us is probably the smallest on the Prime games because I didn't physically own a copy myself until I got the trilogy on the Wii U. Um, so we're talking like circa 2017 when I finally got
yeah,
it. But before
that's
that,
okay.
two of my best mates that I went to primary school and high school with, they had a GameCube, and this was one of the games they poured the most time into alongside. They didn't have Sunshine, they had Luigi's Mansion, and they also had Double Dash, but they didn't have Melee. So, because I played a lot of my GameCube stuff through high school when I went over to their place, I skipped straight to Brawl because Prime was their jam.
Yeah,
So, like, I saw tail end of Chozo Ruins, none of the Forget at the start, but a lot of the magma-based areas just stuck with me, and of course the music because it's kind of iconic to the franchise, and I didn't
yeah,
even realize yet that was my first, like this by extension, because that was the only Metroid game they had, even though they had an N60, like they had an N64 on Smash Brothers and they had an NES but didn't have Metroid 1. This was my first exposure to Metroid as well through watching them play this game. So I originally thought all of them were first to third person. I
Yeah,
didn't
oh
actually
no,
that's
they
fair because
platformers.
they didn't
Yeah.
have an N64 entry in the series at all, so it would be hard to see how it would have worked on that platform.
Yeah. So when I saw Samus in Smash 64, I'm like, wow, like it's cool to see what she actually looks like. I wonder if we'll get to see more of that in other games. How naive I was.
by the way, this boss that we're about ready to fight, this mini boss, this is a missable scan, so be sure to scan it whenever you're fighting. Same goes
Yeah.
for all bosses if you're going for all the scans. By the way, this is the hive mechanism. We're gonna flood the room with toxic water, and the room is slanted. This is what really disorients me really
It's
bad.
kind of a weird room, but even weirder about this is that you can actually just flat out skip this boss fight entirely by just like hugging the side of the wall. The trigger for activating the boss is just getting close to the bridge or standing on it.
Yeah,
And even I believe in the Wii version, it's still possible to skip the thing as long as you just kind of
but
go around it.
but what we got here?
I
That's why
just
you
love
wear
it,
the
dude.
helmet.
That's probably
I-
what Samus is thinking.
I love that spliced together with the game audio, though. That's just glorious.
I thought it would be fitting to keep talking game audio during that part. Yeah, these War Roll Wasp in particular are actually rare scans, so be sure to scan the War Wasp because they're different species.
That's glorious.
Yeah,
Like,
they
love-
do this
I
from
love-
time to time. It's kind of annoying.
I love when occasional bosses or random encounters will have a dedicated, unique version of something that's fairly similar, constantly occurring. Like, again, on my channel, I've been recording the Legacy of Goku games. They do that all the time with mini bosses. They'll either reuse a standard enemy but with more health, or they'll have alternate fights with the same boss and their health bar will be different. And it adds validity to every encounter with them. But my goodness, it does, like, it only adds it more for immersion and for lore building because I enjoy it. But for Metroid, it just hand in hand. I love it.
Yeah, the only
you-
annoying
well,
thing here
you-
is the whole
man,
scanning system,
man.
because if you miss something for your scanning, that's just GG's. You're done.
I
They
was
do that
gonna
all
say-
the time in this game.
I was gonna say you're gonna love Prime 2, Marley.
Oh man, half of that is just reused assets.
Oh gosh, Prime 2 has a lot of like. Here's a variant of an enemy that only appears in this one section of this one boss fight. Be sure to scan it.
Up in the layer, we
Happens
may
all
bring
the
it
time.
back, but it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
Now, remind me again, because I cannot for the life of me remember. Samus Returns, did that include the scanning function as well?
No, I don't think so.
It kind of
'Cause
did, but it was
I
only
feel like-
scanning on maps. It didn't include scanning enemies.
No.
Yeah, because I feel like there wasn't necessarily scanning enemies, but there was an enemy database that would prop up information regularly through AM2R. That's why I was thinking of that, and also just like the vibe of Samus Returns echoes the Prime's presentation so well. So I was
Yeah.
just like, Samus Returns have a scan function in it. I could never remember.
Yeah,
No,
AM2R, the fan remake, actually took a lot of inspiration from the Prime series, hence why it had that whole log system.
Which is really cool.
I mean, hey, like I'm happy to say aesthetic that Returns did too. So I mean, like, in with the good, out with the good too.
Yeah.
I need to play AM2R sometime. I want to try it because I know
I'm
it's
still considering recording it, but like again,
Yeah, I haven't played it since it came out, and I want to try those new modes.
I'd have like a million of them, and I've already got like a backlog of about 6, so I've really got to settle that down.
This boss fight's also very tedious, as you can probably tell.
I hate this boss because at the end I feel like I have carpal tunnel with how much I have to press the shoot button.
Yeah. Yeah, they all fly around the screen. You have to pretty much wait until they stop, and then you can shoot them.
Yeah, you can kill
you
them
can-
when you're flying around, but it's so annoying to do. Hence why I say I have carpal tunnel by the end, because I just mash A or P in the Wii case.
Yep.
I wouldn't even really call this a boss fight. This is a mini boss fight.
Yeah, well, actually, even more so like Mook Rush, since you're not fighting a boss or even a mini boss, just fighting random enemies.
I call this more break the targets than anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
This fight also, it really helps to keep an eye on your radar on your HUD, because that shows you where the War Wasp stopped, so you could go and like position yourself to shoot him. See like how I stopped and then I went over and shot him.
Yeah, it helps that this radar system exists for a boss like this.
Oh,
You don't really use it all that
Matthew.
much, but I feel like in this boss fight it's really useful.
I really
Past
hate
Matt.
this. Past Matthews is like, why the hell did you just not lock on and shoot it and spam the A button? You're trying to be like, I'm gonna go shoot it at an angle, free aim.
Yeah, well, another weird thing with the Wii version is depending on what settings you use, you can either use a setting that's lock on but your cursor can still move, or lock on the cursor snaps to the center. And for one, I'm seeing you using the first option where you can lock on but still freely move the cursor. So locking on doesn't really help at all when it comes to aiming. It'll make it a little bit easier, but not permanent.
I didn't even realize that was a feature. Like I said, this is literally the first time I played this game with the trilogy version. So
Yeah, the Prime 1 and 2 versions here on Trilogy, they all take the controls from Prime 3, which includes all the options. But obviously there's some things they had to tweak, like they didn't have multiple beams in Prime 3, they all just stacked. So they had to kind of change that around with this version.
which I like the way the change, how they handled that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so fed up with this thing at this point.
Why won't you just die? I wish I had power
Guys,
bombs right now.
Guy,
I feel like
dang it.
I feel like Nicolas Cage right now. Dad! Why didn't it die? It's literally on its last freaking phase.
You had one shot, too. You missed it by one shot, because it would have died if that happened.
Oh, my hand hurts at this point. It doesn't normally take this long. I'm being dumb. I'm sorry, guys.
I guess while we're going through it, you guys talked about your history with this. I guess I'm the only one left, so I haven't really played this game when it came out on GameCube. I missed it, although I've seen the trailer multiple times because of the Ocarina of Time bonus disc that came with Wind Waker. That's my most experience I had with the GameCube version, because it wasn't until the trilogy released on the Wii where I picked it up. And I'm glad I got the trilogy version, because when I got that as a gift one Christmas, like I believe it was the year it came out, I got the Steelbook version, which was shortly discontinued. And then they reprinted it years later in just a standard case. That Steelbook version goes for a pretty penny nowadays.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I have a rare version of the Prime games in general. And that's really my only way I play this. I'll play GameCube once in a while, but I primarily play the Wii one. Just because I'm still used to the controls in this. It's really fluid.
By the way, these wasps, I wanted to tell you, be careful because they can knock you into the toxic water. That water is, as you can tell by my danger indicator saying "warning" on the side there. Yeah, it's not good. There, now
if you
it's
jump in the water, it won't insta kill you, but it does a lot of chip damage over
dead.
time.
It,
I think
it
it's
drains
like
your health.
2 to 3 points of damage every second. It's a lot.
Yeah, it drains your health, and you don't have that much health at this point in the game. You only have 1 energy tank, so
Yeah.
we got back our missiles.
No, you got a missile expansion.
Yeah, yeah, you're
It's a
right. I
glorified
forgot.
missile expansion.
It's literally a glorified missile expansion. Ugh. Yeah, because you could skip. You could get you technically any missile expansion. Speaking of energy tanks, here's one right here. Uh, any missile expansion. This is why the space jump boot thing. You can get a missile expansion before you fight this boss, and that technically is your missile launcher at this point in the game. So.
Yeah, because basically that, like I said, it's a glorified missile pack. They just add a special cutscene to introduce the missile launching mechanic back to you. But if you got another missile pack, you would just get the missile launcher automatically. Although it's funny, because when you do have missiles and then you get the missile launcher, you see the cutscene tutorial of how to use the missiles, which feels super redundant.
Yeah. You can use the missiles to destroy these freaking hives. And, by the way, I forgot to mention one of these war wasps. If you don't destroy the hive, the war wasp infinitely respawn after a while.
Yeah.
So, you have to kind of shoot a missile at the war wasp hive to destroy it, and they won't spawn anymore. Now, there is a missile expansion in this room, but we don't have an ability to get it. We'll have to come back to this room. Actually, no, we do. I forgot. That's another thing.
Well, no, you're right. There is another expansion here.
There's two. I forgot. There's two in this room. There's one right there, and then the other one we need another ability for it. So here's your map room.
Lovely.
Hang on, I gotta think. Did I scan this? Okay, I scanned this. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, I always do that. It's like, did I scan?
There's so many things to scan. I don't blame you. It gets worse for Prime 2 and 3.
Oh, especially Prime 2. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
100%ing that game is kind of a pain in the butt.
Well, I mean, 100% in terms of items, it's alright. It's on the par of like a lot of other Metroid games. Still one of the more tedious ones. Scanning, on the other hand, is a whole different beast.
Yeah.
I've never 100% scanning that game because it's so tedious. There's so many missiles.
By the way, everybody, please check out my Prime 2 Let's Play. I did about it last year, so it's 100% with scans and items and whatnot. Sorry, there's my plug for today.
It's a very deep plug. It took up like 3 outlets.
Dang it.
Now I don't have room for the other plugs.
Just get another power bar.
I already have 6.
Get another one.
Well,
By the
this
way,
circuit.
I forgot to mention, especially earlier, there is a when you get near a waterfall or any water effect, one thing I really like is the helmet. The heads-up display is supposed to be inside Samus's eyes on her visor and everything. And one thing I really like is when you get next to like water, or in this case with the scarabs, you step on them and their guts fly up on your screen and stuff like that. Little stuff like that, I really like how much detail there is on this world building, and how much like attention to detail this game has. Because I swear to you, this game is still one of the most prettiest games I've ever played in my life. I love it with the effects that it's got.
Oh, one of my favorite effects is when you have like a little fog effect, like when you walk through Steam or something, because then you can see Samus's eyes through the helmet.
Yeah, you can see Samus's eyes in the helmet. By the way, speaking of another Mook Rush, here's Beetle Mook Rush.
Did you get over the carpal tunnel? Because here it is back.
Yeah, here it is back.
Everybody ready for repetition? No, just a lot of enemies.
At least this one's not as bad.
If you have the space jump boots early with that glitch, you can just go get the ability right there. You can just jump up and get it. You don't have to do this.
Yeah, this is like one of the only abilities during a boss rush they don't lock off fully, so if you can jump over the wall, you can just get the morph ball and just peace out. And if you do, this mini boss music continues to play in the area.
Yeah. That's why a lot of, I guess, do a lot of speedrunners still use the NTSC version?
Oh yeah,
of the
they
game?
still primarily are gonna run the original release of the game, which is NTSC 1.0.
Yeah. And here's the I won't even say boss because it becomes a common enemy later. This is an armored beetle. Can't shoot its face because, well, it's got a steel plate. But I bet you would never guess where his weak point is.
It's his foot, isn't it?
No. No, man. This is a Nintendo game.
Everything but.
Everything but.
Everything but what though? It's gotta be the foot though, right? It's the only thing not glowing.
His big red booty!
Swiggity sweetie, hit him in the booty.
This is that one case where you're allowed to touch the booty, because it will kill it.
Don't shoot the boot.
Ah!
It helps if you actually shoot the boot.
Well, I'm being dumb again, and I'm using missiles. Missiles are slow. So,
Well, they do lock onto the target, so it's a smart thing to do, but yeah, if you shoot it too late, he'll turn around and just whack his face, which that shield will just plop off your missile.
alright, now time to go rolling.
See me rolling, they hating.
They see me rolling, they hating. You know, there was a funny comic I read. It tried to explain how Samus contorts herself into a ball whenever she goes in morph ball. They said, whenever you morph ball, you go into morph ball form, we inject your body with a liquid that dissolves your whole entire body except your brain into goo. And then whenever you come out of it, we inject you with another serum that completely rebuilds your body. So we have a training regimen for your body to experience the stress. To handle the stress. And you're like, oh my gosh.
You have to have a lot of vials to do this like every 2 seconds.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite comics I seen was, I think it actually may have been a Flash short. It was just Samus trying to do the morph ball, and then what she did, she just broke all of her bones. Like, yeah, that's the realistic version of morph ball.
Ooh, ouch.
By the way, I will say, now that we have morph ball, we have one of the best abilities in the trilogy version. Spring ball.
Yeah, exclusive to this version, because they didn't add that until Prime 3. But you can't use it yet, because in order to use Spring Ball, you need Morph Ball bombs.
Yeah, you need bombs. We'll get into that later when we get bombs. But, by the way, that makes this game so much more easier to play with certain things when you got Spring Ball. Spring Ball is a blessing. Oh my God.
My favorite is when you had to deal with the Morph Ball puzzles, where you had to just use multiple bombs to juggle yourself around. You don't even need to worry about that now, because you just Spring Ball and then bomb.
Oh, we got Shriek Bats. Oh, he died before I could scan him. Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
one of the more annoying enemies to scan, because if they're moving, it's next to impossible to complete the entry.
Giant tree.
Hi, great Deku Tree. I didn't know you were in the poison swamp.
Of all the places you could be. Why here?
And he's got tendrils to smack me with.
Wait, if that's him here, I guess that means Kokiri here too. I think they're all dead if this is poison.
I can't reach that.
You can't scan through the glass. Yeah, oh, there you go. I didn't think you could scan that through the grass.
It's like, I can't scan that. Hold on. And my sensor was kind of going weird for a second there.
You know, one thing that's even more annoying if you try to go back to a Wii game nowadays is trying to figure out where the heck to mount the sensor bar on these TVs, because they're too thin.
Yeah.
I've just always put them at the base if it's still got a base. The problem is then I've just got so much tangle going on everywhere, and I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to sit at the right distance from the... Where is the... Because I point at the TV, not point lower, not point lower, not point lower, too far.
Yeah, nowadays I just kind of put it on the table. I'd use the bottom sensor bar technique. Especially
Better
because
than-
if I want to play on my computer monitor, it's curved. Put a sensor bar on there, it just flies right off.
Better than blue tacking it to the top, to be fair.
True,
Yeah.
although for years I kind of rested it on my webcam. Also works.
The age-old method.